first let's delve into Preston.
Yeah.
The reality is that when you go to the UK to study, you're not necessarily based in the place that you're going to be at, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So as you mentioned, I'm a University of Manchester graduate.
Mhm.
So when I was accepted in the scholarship, I chose to go to Manchester as a big city, and a city that's known for it to be a good city for students, and especially Kuwait students. The population is big there. And then the program is designed into like 2 preclinical years and then 3 clinical years, where you get placed in a hospital. My first 3 years were in Manchester, and then you get randomly allocated in one of the 4 hospitals. 3 of them are in Manchester or near Manchester. You can live in Manchester, and then my hospital was an hour away. And you get the result of where you're allocated, I think, by first year.
Yeah.
First year. So it was actually a bit of a shock to me that I chose to go to Manchester, but now I have to move out of Manchester and relocate in Preston, it's actually a new city. It was named a city in 2012. Before that, it was a town.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can imagine.
I actually made fun of a few of my British friends because the concept of a town, we don't have those in Kuwait. Like, what's a town?
Well, I don't have the definition, but it's somewhere you don't want to live. So.
So that's a good point about how you end up being placed in a place that is not necessarily where you were expecting.
Yeah.
How was the shock for you?
Well, obviously, the process of choosing the city from when you were in Kuwait, you obviously choose the city because you want to go there, study there. You know the city, you're familiar with the people there, your comfort zone. Before going there, I asked a lot of people, where should I go? I was honestly between Nottingham and Manchester, but I ended up in Manchester because I knew a couple of friends there. So you go there because you want to be around your friends, and then suddenly you get moved away.
Thrown at a random place.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I remember always being shocked and confused as to how they can be able to throw us there because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not communicated to us Kuwaiti students in terms of the Betha, right?
No. You'll never hear about it until you're there, actually. Like, it's a sudden shock.
Now, do you think this is something that should continue to be hidden from people?
No, I don't think so. Like, you need to be ready. You need to be ready and realize that you might not live there. You might be moved away from the city you chose to go to, because it will help you in taking decisions.
So, okay, imagine me right now. I'm a younger cousin of yours.
Yeah.
I'm about to go study in the UK.
Yeah.
And I just told you that I got accepted into Manchester.
Yeah.
What are you going to warn me geographically for me to be, what should I expect going in there?
In Manchester. Manchester itself, as you know, Aziz, is a multicultural place, so you don't actually feel like you're an outcast or you don't belong into the community. There is a group of, like, a huge community of Asians and a mixed community, so you don't feel like you're an outcast. But Preston, not many like people around in general. Like, it's a small. I still call it a town. You don't have much to do. So I need my cousin to understand that you might be relocated to somewhere else, and be ready with any consequences, like, or any things that can come across you, because it's a 6 years journey. You can't be like midway. No, I don't want to continue.
Yeah, and okay, so you got placed in Preston.
Yeah.
Moving around though, was it by bus, taxi?
Well, Preston is quite small, so most of the time we'd walk around, and then for every day to the hospital, I used to take the bus, which is around 25 minutes.
25 minutes on the bus?
Yeah, 25 minutes with all the students, because schools start with us at the same time as us, so you'll have students with you, and the environment is not the best environment in the bus.
See, for me, I eventually found the need to drive there because I was in Salford, which again is out of Manchester, but it's only about 15 minutes away. So it's like, okay, kind of still within the same geographical region. But the reason why I needed to drive was, how do I get there? If for me to get there, I needed to either have a ride with a friend, or I'd have to take a specific bus, which might be late. I had to take maybe 2 of them. And then the next part is the placements. For Preston, were your placements sometimes out of Preston?
No, we had two hospitals, mainly two. The Preston Royal Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
which is most of our placements are in and our rotations. And then we have another one, it's called Chorley Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
which is the opposite direction of Preston. So it's 25 minutes away from my where I live, my apartment, but 50 minutes away from the hospital, the main hospital.
So then, how did you get there?
I lived in the middle, so so I still use the bus for both of them. So
But would you say that you need to drive?
well, to be honest, depends.
Mhm.
Depends. Like, why do you want to drive? Like, is it just for the hospital itself? I
Mhm.
don't think it's worth it.
Mm.
But if you want to commute, go to visit your friends in other cities, because as you know, sometimes trains, like you have your last train is at 10 or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want to stay longer times with your friends, you need to have a car.
And were you? Well, not you. I mean, was anybody able to live in Manchester and commute to Preston?
Well, yeah, your close friend, you know that. In the
Alright,
final
yeah.
year, he lived there in Manchester and
Yeah.
was commuting every day to Preston. But it really affects your attendance. Like, you need to be there by 8 or 8:30. I think you can't sleep. You can't get enough sleep. You have to wake up earlier, and then you need to commute back. And I don't think it's worth the hassle.
It's a hassle, and
Yeah.
another thing, it's a financial burden.
Yes, it is indeed. Especially also with parking. I don't know about the issue with parking, but what I see from the hospital, the other students or the British students are struggling with parking.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I overthink that before in the morning if will I find a parking or not? Just use the bus and then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind this geographical shock, do you think that if you knew this before going to Manchester, this would have affected your decision?
Not necessarily, but just in general, I didn't want to go to the UK. So in general, the UK, I feel like I had to go to the UK. I didn't have a choice because I wanted to go to the US, and I did 3 SAT exams to get to the US. And then my final year during high school, I chose to go to the UK.
That's
So in
interesting
general,
you're saying this because this was exactly my experience.
yeah. So in general, going to the UK wasn't my first choice.